The icy wind tore across the surface of Glacius 9, whipping up clouds of crystalline snow that glittered in the weak light of its distant sun. The planet was a frozen wasteland, a place where no life the galaxy knew could survive. Temperatures dropped far below anything the alien species had endured, and the thin, oxygen-poor atmosphere made even breathing hazardous. For most creatures, a single step outside their ships could mean instant death. Yet, on this day, a tiny human expedition touched down on the ice. The sleek, silver shuttle shuddered as it pressed against the icy surface. Its small engines hissed and groaned, struggling to adjust to the planet's extreme cold. Inside, the crew of 4 humans were tense but calm, their faces showing a mixture of determination and quiet excitement. Commander Lila Grant, a tall woman with sharp eyes and a mind for strategy, was the first to step out. She felt the chill bite at her skin, but her specialized suit and carefully layered clothing protected her. She planted the human flag into the ice, a simple gesture, but one that symbolized audacity and courage in the face of what many thought was impossible. In the orbit above, the alien council watched. These beings, of varying shapes and sizes, floated in their observation chamber. Their eyes were wide with disbelief as the humans moved across the ice with apparent ease. "Surely they cannot survive long," said Vreek, a long-limbed alien scientist with translucent skin that glowed faintly in the observation chamber. His voice trembled, not with fear, but with confusion. No species could endure this cold. Even our most advanced suits would fail here within minutes. "Perhaps they rely on technology we cannot detect," said Zathra, a shorter alien with armored scales and a sharp beak. She tilted her head and watched the humans digging small holes into the ice. "But their equipment seems minimal. They are not using heavy machinery or protective domes. How is this possible?" On the ground, the humans worked methodically. They erected a small, insulated shelter, anchored with stakes, and heated by a modest power generator. While the aliens had access to massive energy sources, the humans used clever techniques that relied on conserving energy and maximizing warmth. They built windbreaks from ice blocks, created heated floors using buried thermal tubes, and even used simple friction-based devices to generate extra heat for the coldest spots. Private Tomas Reed, a young engineer with quick hands, laughed softly as he adjusted the generator. "You know, I thought this planet would be colder than my old home in Siberia. But it's manageable." He smiled at the irony. No one in the alien observation chamber could have imagined such nonchalance in the face of Glacius 9's deadly environment. Commander Grant checked her instruments. Sensors show temperatures have dropped to -180 Celsius. The storm forecast indicates winds reaching 300 kilometers per hour in the next hour. "Everyone, prepare for heavy snow." The humans did not panic. They worked together efficiently, communicating in clear, calm tones. Each task, no matter how small, was coordinated. Even in the strongest gusts, their shelter remained stable, their systems functioning. In orbit, Vreek rubbed his glowing temples. They must be using some kind of adaptation, some biological trick we cannot detect. Perhaps they have an internal heat source beyond normal metabolism. Or perhaps, his voice trailed off, unsure even of his own theory. "They are human," said Zathra simply. "By all logic, they should fail. Yet here they are, alive, moving freely on the ice." The aliens continued to observe as the humans began exploring the area surrounding their base. Sensors were deployed, ice samples collected, and geological maps created. Commander Grant led the team across treacherous ice fields, careful to avoid thin areas that could collapse into hidden crevasses. Every step showed a mix of caution and courage, a pattern the aliens could not comprehend. Hours passed, and the first signs of trouble began not for the humans, but for alien expectations. The council watched as the tiny crew battled through a sudden snowstorm. Ice crystals whipped against their suits, blinding and biting at their faces. But the humans adjusted their protective gear, dug shallow trenches to block the wind, and continued their work as if the storm were a minor inconvenience. "Unbelievable," muttered Vrick. Even with our best machines, we could not have survived this. And yet, they thrive. Meanwhile, inside the human camp, the crew gathered around the small generator, checking instruments and making notes. Sergeant Reena Patel, the team's biologist, examined the collected ice cores under a portable microscope. "The ice is much older than we expected," she said. "Layer after layer, formed over millennia. But there's something else. These mineral pockets may contain natural geothermal energy. We can use it for warmth and even for growing some crops in the future." Engineer Reed grinned. "So, not only do humans survive the cold, they can thrive." Who would have thought? Commander Grant looked out at the snowstorm raging beyond their shelter. "The aliens are watching us. They expect us to fail. But they don't know our secret." The aliens did not see the full extent of the human advantage. Their sensors could detect temperature, energy output, and movement. But they could not perceive the combination of human ingenuity, endurance, and adaptability. Humans could adjust their metabolism slightly to generate more internal heat, use minimal technology efficiently, and work together in ways that required quick thinking and improvisation. These were traits no alien technology could easily replicate. Outside, the storm grew stronger, visibility dropping to a few meters. The humans, however, were ready. Using landmarks, sensors, and simple mapping techniques, they navigated through the whiteout conditions. They placed heat markers at critical spots, ensuring they could find their way back even if the storm intensified. Back in orbit, the council debated. "They move as if the storm is part of them," said Vrick. "There is no fear, no hesitation. How is this possible?" "They are human," Zathra repeated. "We underestimated them, and I fear we still do not understand the full measure of their abilities." The night on Glacius 9 was long and harsh. Temperatures plummeted further, and the auroras of the distant sun cast eerie lights across the icy plains. The humans huddled in their shelter, taking turns monitoring instruments, checking structural integrity, and maintaining power levels. Every member played a role, every action contributing to the survival of the team. Lila Grant stood for a moment, looking out through the frost-covered windows. The wind roared like a living creature. But the humans were safe inside. She thought about Earth, about the harsh winters she had grown up in, about the human ability to endure. It was not luck, it was planning, knowledge, and the unyielding human spirit. She whispered to herself, "Let them watch. They think this is impossible. But we know it's not." And in orbit, the aliens continued to watch, their disbelief growing into curiosity, and curiosity into respect, though none of them would admit it yet. For the humans, the first day on Glacius 9 ended with success. They had survived, they had built a functioning shelter, and they had begun their exploration. The storm would continue to rage, the cold would continue to bite, but they were ready. The real secret, the human combination of adaptability, creativity, and resilience remained hidden from alien eyes. The council could see their actions, but they could not see the ingenuity behind them. They would have to wait and watch, wondering how such fragile beings could endure what no other species could survive. And that was exactly what humans wanted. Because survival on Glacius 9 was not about being the strongest. It was about being clever, resourceful, and united. And in those qualities, humans were unmatched. The night deepened, and the storm's roar became a background to the humans' quiet determination. They ate, they rested, and they prepared for the next day. Another day, to prove the impossible could be done. Somewhere above them, the alien council recorded every movement, every decision, every success. They did not yet understand it, but soon, very soon, they would realize that humans were unlike any other life they had encountered. The humans slept peacefully inside their modest shelter, their minds alert, their bodies ready, their spirits strong. Glacius 9 was cold, harsh, and unforgiving, but to humans, it was just another challenge. One they were ready to meet. And so, on the first day of a mission that many had deemed impossible, humans survived where all others had failed. The icy winds of Glacius 9 howled around them, But inside, the warmth of ingenuity, courage, and teamwork kept them alive. The aliens continued to watch, and the humans continued to thrive. The next morning, Glacius 9 revealed its full frozen fury. The wind howled across the plains, carrying sharp shards of ice that cut like knives. Temperatures had dropped even further, nearing -200 Celsius. Most alien species would have retreated into orbit or huddled inside armored vessels, but the humans moved with purpose. Commander Lila Grant stepped out of the shelter, her breath visible even inside the protective suit. She scanned the landscape, noting the shifting ice dunes and jagged formations. Team, today we explored deeper into the northern ice fields. Watch for crevasses and geothermal pockets. Stay close, follow the markers, and keep communicating. The humans formed a tight line, moving steadily despite the raging wind. Private Tomas Reed adjusted his portable sensor, scanning for temperature anomalies that might indicate hidden heat beneath the ice. Sergeant Rina Patel, carrying the ice core samples from yesterday, walked beside him, keeping her eyes on the terrain and taking notes. Above them, the alien council continued to observe in awe. Vrick's translucent skin pulsed faintly as he muttered, They move as if this storm is a gentle breeze. How can they endure such conditions without protective domes or heavy machinery? They are humans, Zathra replied, still watching carefully. And humans always find a way. The human team reached a series of ice caves, partially hidden by drifts of snow. Lila led the group inside one of the larger caves, where steam rose from small geothermal vents in the ground. The heat from these vents was subtle, barely detectable by alien sensors, but enough for the humans to use creatively. This is perfect, Lila said. We can use these vents to warm our shelters and to start our experiments. It's small, but it's enough if we manage it right. Engineer Reed immediately got to work. He set up heat-absorbing panels above the vents, connecting them to a small energy storage unit. The system was simple, but effective. The humans did not rely on massive alien-like power reactors. Instead, they used natural heat and clever engineering to survive. Look at this, Rina Patel said, examining a mineral formation nearby. The geothermal pockets have naturally warm water. If we can purify it, we can drink it. And maybe even grow a few crops inside the shelter. Not much, but enough to last until the main supply ship arrives. Commander Grant nodded. Exactly. We adapt, we use what the planet gives us, and we conserve what we need. That is our strength. That is our secret. 1. The doer. The aliens, still observing, were beginning to understand a little, though not fully. They are not just surviving, Vrick said slowly. They are using the planet itself as part of their survival. No other species does this. Most would die or rely entirely on their machines. They have ingenuity, Zathra added. And something more. Something biological. There is a heat signature. But it is not coming from technology. It is inside them. Back in the ice cave, the storm outside intensified. The wind rattled the rocks, and snow blew through the entrances in violent gusts. Most life would have retreated, but the humans worked on. They set up additional markers, ensuring safe paths, and reinforced their temporary shelters inside the cave. Night came, and temperatures fell even further. Commander Grant gathered the team around a small central heat source inside the cave. Listen, everyone. Out there, the aliens are watching. They think we cannot survive. But they cannot see what makes us strong. It is not machines or armor. It is our ability to adapt, to think, and to work together. That is the secret. That is what will keep us alive. The team nodded, understanding that survival on Glacius 9 was as much mental as it was physical. The storm raged through the night. Outside, snow piled into dunes, and ice sheets cracked with loud booms as the temperature fluctuated. Inside the cave, humans monitored conditions, adjusting their equipment and improvising solutions to problems as they appeared. Private Reed paused to check a thermal reading. Commander, the ice just shifted near the eastern vent. Could be dangerous. Calm. Calm. Commander, Lila nodded. We'll reinforce it tomorrow. For now, keep the heat panels stable. Make sure nothing fails during the night. By morning, the storm had subsided slightly. The humans emerged carefully from the cave, marking safe paths and checking instruments. The wind still cut sharply, but the team moved with confidence. They were learning the rhythms of the planet, noticing subtle signs of danger, and finding ways to turn what seemed hostile into a resource. As they moved across the northern plains, they discovered an area where the ice was thinner but revealed patches of dark rock. The rocks absorbed heat from the sun, warming small pockets of air. Humans called these areas warm spots, and they were used to rest, recharge, and prepare for longer treks. These rocks could be our allies, Reena Patel said. We can use them to create more shelters and protect ourselves from the worst winds. Engineer Reed laughed. Imagine the aliens watching this. They probably think we are crazy, hugging rocks for warmth. Commander Grant smiled. Let them watch. We survive, and that is what matters. The aliens were indeed watching. Vrick's pulse was rapid, a sign of excitement in his species. They are using the planet itself to survive, he said. Not only that, they are learning from it. Most species would die after the first storm. They are humans, Zathra said again, almost reverently. They do not just endure, they adapt. Later that day, the humans came across a deep crevasse. A faint warm glow emanated from within, the result of a geothermal spring below the ice. Most species would have avoided it, fearing the instability of the ice. But humans saw opportunity. This could be a water source, Lila said, examining the glow. We need to find a safe way down and extract it. It will help us survive longer and provide energy for our systems. Reed and Patel carefully mapped the crevasse, noting safe anchor points. Lila oversaw every step, ensuring safety and efficiency. By late afternoon, they had constructed a makeshift ladder and pulley system, allowing them to lower small containers into the spring. Warm water flowed into their units, safe to drink after minimal purification. The aliens observed silently, unable to intervene. Even in dangerous conditions, they take risks calculated with precision. Vrick noted. They are alive. Yes, but more than that, they are learning, adapting, thriving. That night, the humans gathered around a central heat source inside their main cave shelter. They were tired, but satisfied. They had collected water, tested geothermal sources, and reinforced their camp for the next storm. This is incredible, Reena Patel said. Other species would never manage this. They would panic, freeze, or get stuck. But we use every part of the planet to our advantage, Commander Grant nodded. Exactly. That is why the aliens do not understand. They see our actions, but they cannot see the thought behind them. They cannot see our teamwork, our creativity, our ability to learn from the environment. That is the human secret. Not technology, not brute force us. Outside, the auroras of Glacius 9 shimmered across the sky. The light danced over the ice, creating a beautiful, almost magical scene. The humans watched silently, appreciating both the beauty and the danger of their surroundings. We will make it, Grant whispered. We always do. The aliens continued to record every action. They could see the humans thriving in extreme cold, using minimal resources and taking calculated risks. Yet, they still did not understand the full measure of human survival skills. Vrick finally admitted, in a quiet tone that none of his peers had heard before. They are remarkable. Not just clever, not just resilient, but alive in a way we do not understand. How can beings so small, so fragile, endure what no other life form can? They are humans, Zathra repeated once more. And humans always find a way. Days passed, and the humans continued their exploration. They mapped geothermal sources, reinforced ice caves, and experimented with growing simple crops using artificial light and natural heat. Each success amazed them and confounded the aliens. By the end of the first week, the human camp was a small network of shelters, safe paths, and energy sources. They had survived multiple storms, dangerous ice formations, and extreme cold. The alien council watched in disbelief and growing respect. "They are still alive," Vrick said, almost in shock. "And more than that, they are thriving." "They are humans," Zathra said, a note of admiration in her voice. "Do not forget that." Commander Grant looked out over the icy plains once more, feeling the wind bite but knowing that they were prepared. She thought about their mission: survival, exploration, and proving that humans could endure even the most impossible environments. And in that thought, she knew one thing for certain. The aliens had only seen the beginning. The true human secret was yet to be revealed, because surviving Glacius 9 was not just about heat or shelter. It was about intelligence, teamwork, and creativity, qualities humans had in abundance. And soon, the aliens would learn that the human secret was far more powerful than any technology or brute strength. It was the human spirit. The icy plains of Glacius 9 stretched endlessly under the pale light of its distant sun. Snowflakes shimmered in the weak glow, dancing across the jagged ice formations. The planet remained hostile and unforgiving, yet the humans moved confidently across its surface. Commander Lila Grant led her team toward a massive ice ridge, beyond which lay a hidden network of geothermal caves they had discovered days ago. These caves contained a rare mineral that could be harnessed for energy and water purification. The humans' mission was clear: secure this resource, survive the extreme conditions, and demonstrate that human ingenuity could conquer even the most hostile planets. Private Tomas Reed scanned the horizon with his portable sensors. "Commander, the northern ridge looks unstable after the last storm. We need to be careful." Lila nodded. "Good observation. We'll reinforce the paths as we move. Safety first, but efficiency matters. Let's go." The humans began their ascent, using their knowledge of the terrain and careful teamwork. Each member had a role, and each action was coordinated. Where one person placed markers, another reinforced ice walls. Where one cleared a path, another checked for hidden heat sources. From orbit, the alien council watched, their astonishment growing. "They are climbing the ridge without hesitation," Vrick murmured. "Even with our strongest equipment, we would struggle to survive here for more than an hour." "They are human," Zathra said, "and they always find a way." The humans reached the ridge safely, though the wind howled like a living beast. Lila scanned the terrain ahead. "The caves are just beyond this ridge. Stay close, follow the markers, and communicate constantly. The geothermal vents inside will give us warmth and energy." They descended carefully into the network of caves. Inside, the temperature was higher than outside, thanks to the natural heat from geothermal sources. The air was damp, but breathable with their suits. Here, the humans set up temporary shelters and began collecting the rare minerals that could sustain their mission. Engineer Reed examined the rocks. "These minerals are ideal for energy storage. We can use them to power our equipment and even generate heat for the shelter. No alien tech required, just smart use of natural resources." Rina Patel checked the nearby water sources. "The geothermal springs are pure and warm. We can drink this water directly after filtering. And I can try growing simple crops using light panels we brought from Earth. It won't be much, but it will last until the main supply ship arrives." Commander Grant smiled. "Exactly. Every resource we find, every adaptation we make, increases our survival chances. This is what the aliens cannot understand. They see machines and raw strength, but they cannot see strategy, adaptability, and creativity combined." Outside, a sudden storm erupted, blowing snow and ice in violent gusts. Most species would have retreated, but the humans were ready. They quickly reinforced the shelters, using ice blocks, heat panels, and flexible anchoring techniques. They distributed tasks, each member acting quickly but calmly. Private Reed shouted over the wind, "Commander, a snow wall is collapsing near the eastern vent." Lila quickly directed the team to stabilize it. Within minutes, the structure was secure. "We adapt. We survive," she said calmly. "This is what humans do best." From orbit, the aliens continued to watch, unable to intervene. Even in extreme danger, they act with precision, Vrick noted. No hesitation. No panic. Only calculation and teamwork. "They are human," Zathra repeated, a note of admiration in her voice. "And they are more capable than we imagined." As the storm raged outside, the humans gathered in the largest cave. They shared warm water, checked instruments, and prepared for the next day. Lila addressed the team. "Tomorrow, we secure the main geothermal vent and establish our permanent base. This will prove that humans not only survive Glacius 9 but can thrive here. The aliens watching us will see the full extent of our abilities. Remember, our strength is not just in our technology, it's in our intelligence, creativity, and teamwork." The next morning, the humans moved toward the central vent, where geothermal heat was strongest. The terrain was treacherous, with jagged ice spikes and thin sheets that could crack under pressure. Yet, they moved with confidence. Using simple yet effective equipment, they installed platforms and protective barriers, allowing safe access to the vent. The geothermal heat was then harnessed through insulated conduits to warm shelters, power energy units, and maintain water supplies. Reena Patel experimented with small plant growth using the heat and water from the vent. Within hours, tiny sprouts appeared, a symbol of life thriving in the most unlikely environment. Engineer Reed monitored the energy output. "The minerals and geothermal heat together can sustain our shelter indefinitely. If we manage the resources carefully, we could even expand the base." Commander Grant surveyed the operation with quiet pride. Humans were turning Glacius 9 from a deadly wasteland into a livable environment. They were not just surviving, they were thriving. From orbit, the Alien Council watched in stunned silence. Vrick finally spoke. "They are not only surviving, they are transforming the planet. How can beings so fragile and small achieve what our most advanced machines cannot?" Zathra's eyes glowed faintly. "It is not their size or strength. It is their mind, their spirit, their ability to adapt. They are human." The humans' actions did not go unnoticed by nearby alien explorers who had been sent to observe. Some attempted to replicate human techniques, but failed. Their machines froze, their shelters collapsed, and they were forced to retreat. Lila noticed the alien movements. "They are trying to copy us," she said. "Let them watch. It will teach them that survival is more than just technology. It is strategy, teamwork, and adaptability." That evening, the humans gathered in the central cave. The temperature was warm, the shelters stable, and the supplies secure. They shared a quiet moment, reflecting on their achievements. "We've done it," Reena Patel said softly. "We've survived storms, freezing winds, and near impossible conditions. And we've done it with our brains, our skills, and our cooperation." Lila nodded. "Exactly. The aliens watching us will learn a valuable lesson. Survival is about intelligence, courage, and creativity. Not just machines or brute strength." In orbit, the Council recorded every movement, every decision, and every success. They could see that humans were thriving in conditions that would have destroyed any other species. Yet, they still did not fully understand the secret. It was not technology. It was not brute force. It was the human spirit. The combination of intelligence, creativity, and unyielding determination. Days passed, and the humans continued to expand their base. They mapped the geothermal networks, collected minerals, and experimented with growing more plants. The shelters became a small network of livable spaces, all powered by clever use of natural heat and energy sources. Meanwhile, alien scouts tried to approach but failed repeatedly. Their advanced machines were unable to cope with the extreme cold and constant storms. The humans, however, moved with ease, using intuition, observation, and adaptation. Finally, The Alien Council sent a message through a universal translator. You have survived Glacius 9 where no other species could. We wish to understand your methods. Teach us your secrets. Commander Grant smiled. She stepped forward, responding through the translator. Our secret is not hidden technology. It is the ability to adapt, to learn, and to work together. We use the planet's resources, our intelligence, and our creativity. And above all, we do not give up. That is what makes humans thrive, even in impossible conditions. The Alien Council paused, processing the words. They had watched humans endure, adapt, and survive. They had attempted to replicate these feats and failed. Now, they realized that human survival was a combination of qualities no machine could replace. Vrick finally admitted, almost in awe. They are extraordinary. Not just strong or clever, but alive in a way we cannot imitate. Zathra nodded. They are human, and they have proven that even the most hostile worlds can be conquered with intelligence, creativity, and spirit. Back on Glacius 9, the humans stood on a ridge overlooking their newly established base. Snowflakes danced in the wind, and the auroras of the distant sun lit the icy plains in beautiful, shimmering colors. They had survived storms, frozen winds, and impossible conditions. They had transformed the deadly ice planet into a place where life could exist, however small it might be. Lila Grant raised her hand, shielding her eyes from the weak sun. We did it, she said softly. We survived, and now, anyone watching will know, humans can endure what no one else can. The team stood together, looking out over the plains. They were tired, but proud. They had achieved the impossible, and above them, the Alien Council watched, finally understanding the truth. Humans were fragile in appearance but unbreakable in spirit. Where machines failed, creativity triumphed. Where advanced suits froze, human adaptability prevailed. Where aliens doubted, humans conquered. It was a moment of triumph, not just for survival, but for recognition. Humans had proven that life, intelligence, and spirit could overcome even the harshest conditions in the galaxy. And in that frozen, beautiful wasteland of Glacius 9, humans had not only survived, they had shown. They were humanity at its best, resilient, clever, and unstoppable.